it's 11:07. Scott Jackson's here with you, and Steve Jordan is expected any moment now. Hold on, I think he is at the door. Steve, is that you?
It's me!
Oh, come on in!
Okay!
All right.
My earliest recollections of music are all AM radio. You know, going to bed with the radio every night was my portal into this world. My loyalty was with CKLC. That's where I spent most of my tuning, my hours tuned, as they would say. And, you know, that just morphed into working there. I think one day it's like, you know, around that time when people were like, you know, what do you want to do with your life? My life was already there. It was right there. So I think it started with me calling the DJs at night, and you know, when you become a regular, it goes beyond just calling to request a song, and you end up like chatting with the DJs for a long time. And there was a couple of announcers, and would spend time talking to me and teaching me all sorts of stuff, just about music history, about how radio worked, and that was that was a free education. There's kind of an automatic mentorship that goes on, I think, in the Canadian industry, and that's something that I take to heart too. If someone actually has the interest and is willing to, you know, basically shift their life in that direction, I think we owe it to the musicians, we owe it to the music to give them our time like that, because that's what brought me here.
Congratulations, Steve. I know you get uncomfortable taking credit for all that Polaris is, but at its core, Polaris embodies what I admire most about you. Over the years, I've seen your passion for conversation, respectful debate, and an openness to having your mind and your opinion changed. I know so few people who are able to do that and encourage it in others as well. And it's this unwavering commitment to the conversation, both good and bad, that permeates every aspect of Polaris, and it's what makes it so special. At its core, that's because of you, and it's something you should be proud of. I know I am. Congratulations again, and thank you for allowing me to be part of the Polaris family. Bye.
There used to be a time, especially at a label like Warner, where that was, you know, you let them have their 3 or 4 or 5 records before they actually broke through. And that system really sustained itself for a while. But around that time, I think is around the time that AOL bought out Warner, and all of these media companies were buying record companies, and that was stifling for a lot of artists, especially if, you know, they believed in themselves, had confidence in themselves, and so a lot of what was happening is these artists were getting audiences around the world without the help of the major label system in Canada, and that was a huge eye-opener. But I think that also planted the seed for Polaris in a way that people talk about Polaris being an exporter of talent, but it's also an importer of the international recognition that a lot of our artists get as well. There was a very specific moment when the idea of Polaris popped into my head. I had been following the Mercury Prize, as a lot of other music geeks around the world do, and yeah, I wonder if this would work in Canada. And then it was like, wait a second, this sounds like a pretty good idea. Someone else must have already thought of it. And you almost have that moment where it's such a good idea, it's not even your idea at that point. You're like, this is just a good idea. And so it's important to point out that Polaris would not have happened. It's not just the idea. Like you have to spread that around, and you need other people's energy to get that going. And when I would spread that idea around, people were like, you have to do this. So it took 5 years to get off the ground. But if there is that one moment in your life where you have that light bulb, and some people are geniuses and they have that like every time they write a song. I've had it once, that was the one time. You need to make that happen.
Hello, Toronto. This is Lisa in Spain at Primavera Fest, where there's a broken social scene and Arcade Fire, and I miss the operators, because you can't get away from great Canadian music anymore in the world, and that has a lot to do with Steve Jordan. So I want to congratulate him on being the unsung hero of music tonight. As long as I've known you, you've just wanted more people to hear more great music. And for that, you should be not just unsung, but sung. Not by me, a terrible singer. That is my gift to you. Steve, congratulations and have a great night.
Hi, Steve. Congratulations on this award. I'm so proud of you. It takes so much courage and guts and tenacity to create something out of nothing, and the Polaris Prize is really something to behold.
We love you so much. Congratulations.
Yay!
The best moment is when the winner's announced and all of the nominees and everyone in the room, regardless of who wins, stands up and gives a standing ovation. And to me, it indicates what we set out to do, which is not just a competition with like winners and not winners. I would never call them losers. More like a society of mutually appreciating geniuses. I love that. There's none of the carping and jealousy that you sometimes see in other situations like this. I think what we're sending out there, what our independent artists are sending out there, is like true independence, like a spirit of adventure, a spirit of exploration. You know, there's no one sound. It can go from, you know, Daniel Caesar to Grimes to Kathleen Edwards to Kate Renata. That's the Canadian sound, is that there is no Canadian sound.